Hey there, everybody. Chris Stegall here with MK Partners, joined today by Jessie Penaloza. Jessie, thanks for hopping on today.
Hey, what's going on, Chris?
Not much. Well, I mean, actually a lot. Today we are chatting about the Summer 23 release, which is getting closer and closer. As we always do in the lead up to a release, we have been poring over the release notes, grabbing the features, updates, and upgrades that are the most exciting to us, that stand out the most, that have been the longest waited for or most anticipated, and make a little digest so you don't have to do all the reading that we do. Um, and today, Jesse, you have looked through the release notes for Marketing Cloud Account Engagement, aka Pardot,
Mhm.
and we've got some exciting changes coming. Is that right?
Oh yeah, most definitely. Some of the stuff looking forward to it, especially since I've been working on some projects and they're relevant to actually making making tasks simpler.
Cool.
So
So why don't you kick us off with what caught your eye first?
sure, most definitely. So the first thing up on my list here is actually trigger actions. From an triggering an action from to an external action. So any type of completion action within Pardot will now allow you to trigger an external action to some sort of third-party system that will allow you to complete a task. Or, for example, uh, if you have a sign-up form, you go ahead and have the people that registered automatically be added to the invitations for the meeting, for the webinar, or for the meeting, or for the session that you're going to be having, as well as be able to send text messages directly to those recipients that provide you with a valid phone number to give them a heads up. Similar to like if you go to the nowadays you go ahead and buy yourself, go to lunch or get some food. Everybody's asking for that phone number because usually people get notified. I went to California Fishing Grill just a few days ago, and they don't give you a receipt anymore. They don't give you anything else. All they do is just ask you for the number, for your phone number, and they send you a digital copy of the receipt. They go ahead and send you notifications of when your food is ready, so you can just go ahead and pick it up. So there's no more. There's no more physical transaction at any point. Everything just digitally.
Yeah.
So in that sense, I can kind of compare it to these external actions, which is going to help simplify tasks for individuals putting up campaigns together, like myself, putting things together where you want to be able to do multiple things and then have to go from one sheet, kind of verify all the recipients, then come back and add them all to a meeting invite. So the only thing that I'm still looking into that I haven't found too much about this particular feature release is what actual external actions and how is that going to interact? Do you have to set up an authorization where you allow this third party application to be able to access Salesforce and vice versa? Typically, when you have something like this, you get a prompt or notification. So that wasn't clearly stated, as well as what additional external actions. So I'm waiting on the feature release matrix that should be coming out actually this week to kind of pinpoint and narrow what exactly these external actions will consist of, and if there's any security concerns or anything that we have to address from a security level moving forward.
Yeah. So we'll keep our eyes peeled for that functionality matrix, and if it does drop this week, I'll go ahead and add it to the comments or the description on this video, so folks can click right in. But yeah, this does seem exciting. Looking at it, um, as a Pardot user and admin, I agree with your read on this. I think to me, it sounds like our completion actions are getting longer, um, especially when it says, you can send a text message after a product or prospect clicks a custom redirect, or send an alert to the sales team when a prospect visits a pricing page. To me, those read like new completion actions. So yeah, it will be interesting to see how it works because I know that we've had the webinar example has been much asked for. You have a prospect go to your landing page, they fill out your Pardot form, they register for the webinar, and to date, there hasn't been a great way to automate adding them to the
Right.
calendar invite. There have been some workarounds, right? You could create the calendar invite and then download it as like shareable, that .ics file or whatever, and then put that in the autoresponder email. But when they add that to their calendar, you don't get any indication that they've join. They're not joining your instance of the calendar invite. And so then when your boss says, how many folks are showing up for that webinar? You go, well, 20 filled out the form, but I can't see how many actually added it to their calendar, versus when you and I go in after the fact and say, okay, let's send all these people an invite. We could see who accepted, who declines, etc. So this could be a game changer in terms of time savings for marketing.
Most definitely.
All right. And then what else you got?
So next up was something that caught my attention from a presentation perspective, as I've been involved more in having to kind of assess and analyze data within the different Salesforce products and being new to the Salesforce ecosystem. A little bit more than a year now. I don't feel as new, but at least from this perspective, understanding how you assess data, and one of the big features that Salesforce products have, which is consolidating a lot of information to be able to make sense of it. So I figure the one thing I could relate to this was, at first, at a glance, a dashboard similar to an Excel spreadsheet kind of felt like you kind of get lost looking at all that information all at once. There wasn't a way to kind of like visually display the information, or kind of present it in such a way, like if you would have like a PowerPoint presentation, or some way to combine that and kind of make sense of things. Salesforce is supposed to do that for you, but you still have to have some building blocks and elements to kind of put that all together. Well, prior to this release, I don't know how much there was, because I was doing some research and I couldn't find like how much visualization there was available, but I guess there was some. But now I guess they're just adding to that. So I'm assuming people that have been doing this have realized, hey, you know what? Kind of feel like we're limited, we need more options. So just the mere fact that now you can add within the dashboard, which is a series of reports that you put together, um, images, rich text, and widgets. That just means that I feel like you kind of have your own little mobile device now, able to kind of, if you're looking at through your smartphone, for example, now you have a dashboard with widgets and rich text and images that you can kind of, show and present to somebody, especially when you're kind of on the go. You don't necessarily have the time to open up that laptop or the tablet. You just want to be able to get the smartphone, hit a button, fire up your dashboard, and kind of show the information in real time. So the fact that you're going to have the ability to add images, rich text, and widgets, and especially there is a cap, obviously, right? Just like everything else, it's not unlimited. Obviously, this information needs to be stored somewhere. But the fact that you can even add some animated GIFs, right? So you kind of want to give some sort of recognition to one of your team members, or at least kind of make something that will kind of be an icebreaker between colleagues, or when you're trying to pitch something to your new potential lead. You have a way to visually show it. I feel like with the transition of the last 10 plus years, before, it was a lot of actual physical, narrating and kind of going through line item by line item for information. But you had individuals do that, and obviously that took some time, where you can kind of consolidate all of this in the visual perspective, where you can kind of get everybody up to speed. And I think that's the most important part, getting everybody on the same page. Because even if you have everything really beautiful and kind of presented, it doesn't mean everybody's going to understand it. So I feel with the power of Salesforce, and now with the ability to have these additional visualization enhancements, they'll be able to provide better illustrations to kind of get everybody on board, everybody on the same page, and transition and be able to kind of hit those goals that everybody kind of sets when they're assessing a lot of this information.
Yeah, definitely. And looking at this, it looks like this is actually sort of more broadly Salesforce and Salesforce Analytics, as opposed to Pardot or account engagement specific. Um, because I was at first I was like really I was leaning forward. I was really excited because as you know, Pardot reports are fairly limited in terms of their customizability and configuration. You get like the standard canned reports for an email send, and it shows you all the stuff that we're used to, like opens and bounces and click throughs. Same with landing pages and stuff, but we haven't really had the ability to customize and configure those reports. So I was like, wow, uh, maybe this is why Pardot is getting that, name change into Marketing Cloud. But peeking at the sidebar there, I think this is actually part of Salesforce Analytics. So this is going to be a lightning change overall for dashboards. That the dashboards throughout the platform are going to be getting, these widgets instead of there were components. Now they're widgets, upping the number to 25 from 20. Like you said, the ability to add GIFs or GIFs, narrative text. So sort of across the platform, I think this could be a big improvement to data visualization, which, as you said, is one of those like continuous selling points of Salesforce. It's like if Salesforce, I imagine their, sort of standard pitch is you have all this data, what are you doing with it? Okay, now you're doing something with the data, but how are you analyzing it? And then these dashboards are a key component of that. Like, how do you analyze and then act on the data? So, yeah, this has potential to really, you know, instead of leaving the data analysis to the data ana- instead of leaving the data analysis to the data analysts, this will open it up so that, users at sort of every level can jump in and see visualizations of their impact, their team's impact, and start making choices dictated by the data as opposed to just, their best guess. So it's really exciting.
Thanks for that correction there, Chris. I didn't realize that you have a point right. This is actually a broader spec and covers all the different products Salesforce has to offer. So I'm hoping that this will actually be an implementation that will be done within account engagement and kind of bring more of that visual element to those kind of reports. But do appreciate there the breakdown. And you're right. Yeah, I think this is going to be big. It's going to be a huge impact overall.
Yeah. And the worst case scenario, if it doesn't get rolled right into account engagement or Pardot, then we can do another video about how you use engagement history on the lead and contact records to get some of that Pardot data out, how we can then move some of that into dashboards and tables to get some more robust reporting. Um, and hopefully we'll get some more details on that in the future too, because that has sort of been historically I don't want to say a roadblock, but a weakness of Pardot is, the lack of configurability and customization of reporting. So this has the potential to be really big. We'll have to wait and see that functionality matrix come out.
Winter 23, would that be correct? Or 24? Would that be the next release? I want
Next
to say
release,
23. Or am I
uh,
wrong?
I almost feel like it's winter
24, right?
24.
Yes,
Yeah,
I think you're right. Yeah. I think we start winter 23 a little bit earlier.
yeah. It's always a little bit confusing because I feel like in my head, winter 23 started, in 2022.
Right. Hmm.
Yeah, winter 24 should be around October of 2023.
There we go.
So,
You gotta love that.
yeah.
So
Salesforce does
maybe
the dates a little bit like car manufacturers, where it's like, oh, the 2024 Ford Mustang comes out in July of 2023. And I'm like checking my calendar, being like, what year is it?
all right. So yeah, I love that pitch. So yeah, we'll look into that and keep everybody updated if there are some enhancements within account engagement reports or out dashboards and their assessment.
Yep. And I think you got one more pick here.
Yes. So the last one was something that I've been recently working on, which is actually launching up new account engagement business units. So as I'm starting out these projects, I realized that a lot of the information is relevant and can be replicated because it applies to a similar use case scenario. So this caught my attention just for the sake that you're able to actually transfer and create similar assets between one business unit to another. However, once again, Salesforce kind of tends to leave things in the gray area. I feel like it, similar to the trigger action. We don't have too many details as to how the specifics are supposed to work. So I know people that would work on this on a daily basis would like to get more insights, more in-depth understanding. But you're able to use this API v5 within account engagement, the version 5.0, to be able to create clone these assets from one business unit to another. However, though, it doesn't say how straightforward it is. And at the same time, it does recommend to have a developer. So if your team has a developer, you can go ahead and link up with them, kind of give them the breakdown of this new feature that's coming up, And I'm pretty sure within that feature matrix, we'll be able to get more information. So once again, I'm looking forward to that because that's another element that I wasn't aware of previously. That kind of gives you the next layer or next two layers down as to additional breakdowns of how things are supposed to work and what it's supposed to impact. So I look forward to figuring out what this means. But in a nutshell, you're supposed to be able to transfer information, such as the email templates, the files, images that you kind of set up, any engagement studio programs that you kind of set up, or any even custom redirects. Some of the redirects might be used similar between one business unit to another, right? You're able to transfer all that, so you have to replicate the process. It kind of like a double-edged sword, right? So from a consultant perspective, right, you want to provide the best support and best service to your customers, but at the same time, you don't want to have to charge them or spend additional time just because you have to replicate things over and over again. Something like this will help you streamline that to be able to cut down some time, but at the same time, maximize your efforts and be able to take on more tasks without affecting your day-to-day operations. So I feel like this is because I've started building up some more business units and realized that there are some similarities when you have to switch from one to the other. The fundamentals probably have to kind of go through the same process. You have to build one up as you go along, but right after you kind of establish the foundation, you have to kind of get going and build up the framework and kind of get the layout set up. That can be somewhat similar, so be able to transfer some of that information over if you're building up multiple business units within one customer, one client. I think it's a very powerful asset to have and tool that we'll be able to leverage in the future.
Yeah, definitely. And just looking at this, I think there's a couple obvious use cases, or no, I shouldn't say obvious, but use cases that jump out to me. Um, One, when you have a business and then there's an acquisition or a merger, and your, singular par.org is now going to be hosting additional business units, and you're like, hey, I don't want to reinvent the wheel. Um, let's just duplicate our marketing efforts, rebrand them. Now you can sort of clone everything from one BU to the other. Um, or the other use case that jumps out to me would be sort of our use case where you have a business, MK Partners, that does professional services or whatever it is, and you develop an app to help you do that business, like Mambo Merge. And then you go, oh, this is so helpful. We should start selling this on the App Exchange. And now you have, two different internal streams that need marketing. And I mean, we had to do it. We had to duplicate the marketing materials, the
Yeah,
efforts to go from one to the other. And man, it would have been so helpful to be able to say, okay, let's take that engagement studio program, duplicate it over here into this BU. Now we can rebrand it. Let's get those email templates that we've built and we know work. Um, and some of that is easier than the others. Like the email templates, I'm like, okay, I could copy HTML code and paste it into the new one, and that would be done. But with like the engagement studio programs, there is no easy way to copy and paste those. So um, potentially a huge time savings, not in like the day to day, but like it could turn what could be like a 6 month marketing project into a 2 week marketing project, which is always appealing.
of course, yes.
Yeah, and I think you were right. There is that last sentence there does have a little bit of an ominous vibe to it where it says like work with your developer to use the API to do it, because to me what that sounds like is you are going to have to write a query that's going to say look in this BU, grab these assets, duplicate them, drop them into this BU, and it's not going to be a handy check a bunch of boxes and click duplicate. It's going to be some code that has to run on the API. um, But the good news is, if you don't have a developer, we do. And, that's one of those things that you could hire a firm like MK Partners for. Um, and this is something that, like, once we've done it, we're definitely going to jump in there and play around with it. And once we've done it, theoretically, we'll be able to do it a lot faster than a developer looking at it for the first time. So even if you do have an in house developer, um, we'll probably produce some content about exactly how this API works and how that duplication process goes. Um, and it might be a thing where it makes more sense to hire somebody to spend 5 hours setting it up for you and giving you the keys versus having your developers burn a couple weeks on it themselves. So we'll see as more details come out, but it does seem like it'll be a little bit of an involved process, but nothing that a experienced Salesforce dev can't handle. So that's exciting.
And this is
And
pretty much all consolidated into our summer 20 release highlights blog. We do kind of publish a few of these, every week moving forward after the release went live. So just keep an eye on these, and we'll put this link on the description below the video as well. And if you have any questions, comments, and as mentioned by Chris, if you like some assistance or kind of give some direction in terms of what features you look forward to, or anything else that drives your interest, or looking for some assistance, please do let us know.
that's right, Jesse. And thank you for pulling that up. That's the blog that you wrote about these three here. And like you said, we will have more coming in the future. I think next week we're going to take a look at the updates that affect security in org. And
Ooh.
then beyond that, we'll be looking at Sales Cloud and Experience Cloud and sort of continuing the countdown. Early June is when Summer 23 will hit all of the orgs, although we will be seeing some preview and pilot orgs getting the update as a little sneak peek in May in the coming weeks. So
Ooh.
stay tuned here. Like you said, we'll be posting as the feature matrix comes out, updates with the timeline. As we learn more, you'll learn more. Medium.com/creme de la CRM is the blog for all of those written updates. Right here on the YouTube channel is the source for video updates. And I'm excited. It's, one of the releases where the year matches the calendar. So summer
Yeah.
23, it is May of 2023. We are right on time.
It may be summer, it may not be.
Yeah, I think technically it's still spring, but it'll be summer soon, and we'll be ready for it. So thank you, Jesse. Thanks for joining me today. Thank you for writing those up.
Of course, not a problem. My pleasure.
Great. And thank you, everybody, for watching. Like Jesse said, be sure to like and subscribe. Check out the description here for links to the blog, the relevant release note sections, and stay tuned. Next week, we'll be back with a look at security and then more release updates until launch day. So thanks for watching.
Bye.
Bye.